My name's John Tanner. I live in northern Utah and I ride horses throughout the state. I'm frequently asked by travelers coming to the state, where can we ride our horses? So I'm going to give you a few ideas in this video of some of the places to ride, some of the more popular bucket list items, and some of the climates you might want to consider as you're coming into the state and what time of year to do what. So enjoy. Thank you.
Bryce Canyon is probably the #1 bucket list item that people ask about. Bryce Canyon is located in Garfield County, which is mostly southern Utah. It's about 4 hours south of Salt Lake or 4 hours from Las Vegas, depending which way you're coming from. It's located at 8,000 foot elevation, so in the winter it can be pretty cold and have a winter climate. So they usually limit the horses to riding in there from May 1st through October 31st. And the rest of the year they don't allow horses to protect the trails when it's muddy. Bryce Canyon is a national park, and as such they have outfitters who are licensed concessionaires in the park. And so if you ride horses during the day in the park, you're going to ride their horses and pay for the privilege to do so. Private horses are only allowed into the park after 4 p.m. at this time. They may change the rules again, but right now you only can get in after 4. So you're mostly doing a sunset ride into the park. It takes about 3 hours to ride through the park, and you'll want to start at 4 or 4:30. I think they allow groups of 10 to go in every half hour. You'll have to check again with the Park Service. I personally don't ride a lot inside of Bryce Canyon. I've done it 6 or 7 times in my lifetime, and I don't want to mess with the rules anymore. So I usually ride the area around Bryce Canyon outside of the park boundaries. There's plenty of beautiful scenery to see in that area, and you don't have to mess with any Park Service rules. But if you want to see the park, if you've never seen it, you definitely should do it once. Go ahead and make your reservations with the Park Service and just plan for an evening sunset ride in there. Late in June, around the 21st of June, it probably doesn't get dark till 9 o'clock. So if you get on the trail at 4, you've got 5 hours to get in and out. And if you're doing it in October, you're probably going to be coming out in the dark unless you're really hustling. Most people coming into Utah are hauling in with a living quarter trailer, and they want some place to camp. You know, myself, when I go out, I do what's called a primitive dispersed, where we find public ground, whether it's Forest Service or BLM or state lands. We park under a tree, and we put a high line up, and we tie the horses to the high line. This requires that I have to load my horses in my trailer every day and move them to a different trailhead. And we have no amenities doing so. There's no picnic tables or showers or laundry room or anything like that. Outside the park, we have a number of Forest Service and BLM areas to ride. The Grandview Trail here is 9,000 foot, and the Grandview Trail itself is 78 miles long, and goes from the west side clear across to the east side of Bryce Canyon. There's about 5 different access points along this trail, and you can do segments as I'm doing here today. 12, 15 mile lengths, and get to see some of the beauty of the Red Rock country in that area. I have recorded my tracks on a program called Rambler. You can download the maps by going to rambler.com and searching on my name or these trail numbers. This is the very eastern edge of the Grandview Trail coming in from Sheep Creek. You start out at a much lower elevation, down around 5,000 foot, and ride through the sagebrush and oak. And you climb up to the Ponderosas and the Red Peak Cliffs, looking over into Bryce Canyon at the top, and you get up higher. This is an in and out trail. There's not really, unless you're going to go a long way, there's not a second place to get picked up. So, plan on that. Thunder Mountain is another popular trail that people like to ride. You can access it from two places. There's a trailhead in Red Canyon just as you start to enter the canyon at the bottom, or there's a trailhead up on top at Coyote Meadows. Either direction, you're basically either going to have to ride in and return, or have somebody move your vehicle to the other end. There's one little section called the Hog's Back that people like to take pictures of. It's kind of steep on both sides, but it's not a big deal. Another trail that you can access from Red Canyon above the visitor center is called the Butch Cassidy Ridge Trails. It's kind of a figure-8 trail. You go up one and come down the other. It has a small parking lot, so if you're going to ride that trail, I suggest you get there early in the morning. Get your trailer parked and park it facing out so you don't have to do any backing up. Just be aware that the hikers and stuff are going to come in during the day and park, and they're probably going to fill in every empty spot in there, so just make sure you face out so you can get out of there at the end of the day. This is not a particularly long trail, and I find it's a great trail to do in the evening if you can get parked in that parking lot. You can get up and back in a couple hours, and so it's a nice fill-in trail if I've got something else going that day. Might also work well for somebody that's got to ride in Bryce Canyon during the day to go up and do this in the morning. Another popular ride near Red Canyon is the Alosi Casto Canyons. Just before you enter Red Canyon, there's a turnoff to the north that goes 2 miles into Alosi Canyon and about 3 miles into Casto Canyon. It's a pretty good gravel road. At the mouth of each canyon is a parking lot. The mouth of Alosi is the Outfitters parking lot, which is a nice parking lot with corrals and water, stuff that we cannot use. Those are specifically reserved for the outfitter who takes his clients into there. So he pulls in there with a semi with a 15-horse trailer, and oftentimes with 2 or 3 vans full of people that climb out. And so he's very protective of that parking lot. So don't park there, but we usually park in the trees just before that. You can't get a really huge trailer, and then plenty of room to get something like my 4-horse gooseneck in there. You ride up Alosi Canyon, which is red rock. You climb up over the top into the white rock that goes over the mountaintop. Then you drop back down into Casto Canyon, which is on the opposite side, and come down it, which is back in red rock. This will bring you back out onto the road, and you got about a mile of either riding the road or getting off the side into the sagebrush to return back to your vehicle. Willis Creek is a popular slot canyon that's located just out of the Cannondale. The spring in Willis Creek, the water actually comes out of Bryce Canyon, so you're below the canyon. You park on the road coming in, which is a little bit tough. That road's the long dirt road, and it's got one spot that's really steep and washboard. I suggest when you hit the bottom of that hill, put your truck in 4-low and just climb up at a slow, steady speed versus going up and spinning out. Willis Creek is a slot canyon, and so the sun doesn't always reach to the bottom, but it also protects you from the wind. And so if it's a windy day and it's blowing up on the ridge tops, we go down and ride inside the canyon and beat the weather. You can either ride down the canyon, turn around and return to where you started, or you can ride through the canyon. When you come out of the upper parking lot, there's a trail that cuts across country, basically following the side of the road back to where you parked your car. This canyon doesn't get sunlight in it, so in the winter it can turn to ice on the bottom of the canyon, so be careful. As long as we're talking about the Bryce area, about an hour south of Bryce Canyon is a town called Mount Carmel on Highway 89. There's a canyon there called Bay Bill. That's kind of a slot canyon that people enjoy exploring. So just past the town of Mount Carmel, there's a little pull in. There's some cattle trails there that if the cattlemen are not using, you can put your horses in. The East Fork of the Virgin River is right there that you can water your horses in. This is private land right there just past the corrals, and so you have to stay on the road. They have an easement, and you got to ride down that road a couple miles before you can get out of that easement and onto the public land, the BLM land, and ride up into the barracks or up into that canyon. A little farther south is the town of Kanab, and there's a lot of riding around the Kanab area. One of my favorites is Hackberry Canyon. You can see here I'm riding along with I'm riding a horse, a pony, and a second horse, and there's a lot of water in the bottom of that canyon, and you splash and have fun. It's a good place to go on a hot day. You're out in the sun. This is in April, if I remember right, this video. But it's right close to the Paria campground. About 1 hour east of Bryce is the town of Escalante. And there's a lot of country over there to explore depending on what you're looking for. About 30-40 miles southeast of Escalante is Coyote Gulch. It's a nasty dirt road to get down to it, and it's rough country. But if you want to get away from people and see some sights that very few people have seen, this is what you're going to see down in that country. North of town, you can ride up onto the boulder top of Correas Plateau, and that's all 10,000 foot, and puts you into some beautiful pines and high country with elk and lions and bears and all kinds of stuff up there. So there's a lot to see in that area if you want to go over and explore. There's really not any established trails. You're just going to be following where the ranchers have pushed their cows for 100 years. Hope this gives you some idea of what's in that area around Bryce. You can ride down there for weeks and never repeat the same trail or the same area. There's just an incredible amount of riding in that part of the state. Thank you.